everyone. How are you doing? I hope everyone is doing good. So, welcome to a new chapter, Plant Growth and Mineral Nutrition. This is chapter 7 from your textbook from the Maharashtra Board syllabus. Okay. This chapter has been covered in the 11th standard for CBSE. So they do not have this chapter for 12th as such in their syllabus, but Maharashtra Board has this chapter as chapter number 7 in their textbook. So let's begin. Very interesting and very comparatively a short chapter. Okay, so we will be learning about different growth patterns that takes place in plants, then different hormones, their function, their application, okay, and certain topics related to the nutrition, mineral nutrition related to plants. In the previous chapter, we mostly focused on the basic raw material which are required for the plant growth, that is plant water relation. Here we will be understanding different aspects of plant growth. So let's begin. Uh, Before we begin, can you recall or just pause and just recollect and try to get an answer that if growth is a property of only living beings? Yeah, you can just pause the video and try to think. Meanwhile, I can discuss this. So, do you think that the growth is property of living beings only? Usually, when we hear the word growth, we feel that it's only about living beings. Living beings only grow. But remember, we have done in 11th standard that growth, even non-living beings can show growth, right? For example, ice crystals. Ice crystals grow in size. Then you have fruits, which are non-living thing. They grow in size. Okay, so there are many non-living things or objects also which grow in size. So you cannot solely say that growth is one of the unique or only property which is attributed to living things. Okay. Another question that I want to ask is there any difference between plant growth and animal growth? Have you ever thought about? You must be knowing the answer also. You can pause and just think and then replay the video for the answer. So yes, obviously there's a difference between plant growth and animal growth. One of the major differences is that animal grow to a certain period, to a certain age. Okay, after that their growth will not take place, whereas plant will grow continuously throughout their life. Okay, so plant will grow continuously throughout their lifelong, though the growth will be not very fast and like it used to be when the plant was used to be young, but growth will be there slowly and gradually. Animals will grow to a certain age and then they will reach the old age or the plateau or the stationary phase. Okay, so let's begin with the first topic. That is what we are going to do in this topic is we will understand general introduction, what is growth, different phases of growth, what is growth rate. Okay, three important aspects related to growth. What is growth, phases of growth and growth rate. So let's begin understanding just introduction that what growth is all about. You must be aware of these following points. You must be knowing these characteristics already, but still we will go through this. Okay. So if we sit to define growth, what is growth? It's an irreversible event, right? Once a living thing or a non-living thing has grown, so it will not go back to the younger version of it. So it's a irreversible, permanent, and also it is not temporary. So it's an irreversible, permanent increase in the size of an organ, okay, or a part, or even a cell. So you can just consider at the cell level, or a part, or an organ level, or a system level, okay. So irreversible, permanent increase in the size is called growth. Okay. So growth has how many aspects? It has two aspects. Okay. So this is how we define growth. Growth has two aspects to it. One is the quantitative aspects and one is the qualitative aspect. So when you talk about quantitative aspect, what do we mean by quantitative? That is where you can measure. For example, you can measure the increase in the length, you can measure increase in the breadth, size, volume, mass, body mass, what is the dry weight, what is the total number of cells, from where it started till where it is at a particular time. So the measurable aspect, the quantitative aspect. Another aspect is the qualitative aspect. Is what? The qualitative aspect. Wherein change in the nature of the growth having another aspect of the growth is qualitative aspect. Okay. So when we are talking about qualitative means what? The change in the nature of the growth. Okay, whether the plant has developed and the younger cells have differentiated into different types of cells like parenchyma cells or sclerenchyma cells, xylem, phloem. So wherein we are looking at the quality growth of the plant, and quantitative aspect is wherein we are measuring the growth with respect to parameters like length, breadth, size, volume, etc. Okay. So growth is associated with high degree of metabolic activities which involve both anabolism and catabolism. Okay, time and again we have been discussing these terminologies. That is, molecule substances are made in anabolism and breakdown of the complex substances into simpler molecules. Okay, into simpler substances, into simpler molecules is catabolism. One example, anabolism, like for example, photosynthesis. Okay, what happens in photosynthesis? All the raw materials like carbon dioxide, water molecule, sunlight, in presence of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll uses sunlight and it makes sugar. And when the sugar is made, so something is made, anabolism, anabolic reactions. And when this sugar is utilized by the plant to gain energy, to derive ATP, okay, then a breakdown of this sugar into smaller simpler energy molecules, then catabolism occurs. So growth, excuse me, it's a combination of both anabolic and catabolic reactions. Okay, so during growth, the rate of anabolism is more than catabolism. So when we are talking about when we are talking about growth in plants, so we measure anabolism will be more as compared to that of breakdown of any complex substances into simpler ones. So building up material, biomolecules will be more as compared to breakdown. Okay, so in growth, though it's a combination of both, but there will be um, anabolism taking more. Anabolism reactions will be more when the growth phase is happening. Okay, plant growth is indeterminate or unlimited, which continues throughout their life. So this is one of the major difference that we just mentioned. The difference between plant and animal growth. Plant is unlimited, plant growth is unlimited. It will take place throughout the life. This is the general understanding with respect to growth. Now we move to the phases of growth. So as you look at the diagram over here, you can see three phases of growth: formative phase, elongation phase, and maturation phase. First, growth is localized in the meristematic regions only. Okay, you again might have heard meristems, meristematic cells. These are the actively growing young cells. Okay, these are the baby cells, you can say, which are actively young and growing, dividing, multiplying, dividing, multiplying. So here the cells, from here the cells divide, multiply, and then they further go on to become enlarged and differentiate. So the first phase of the growth is formative phase. Formative phase, sorry. What happens in this phase is mostly the meristematic regions are active. Uh, Okay, the growth starts from the meristematic region, which is near the root tip. Okay, so it divides, it enlarges, and then finally it gets differentiated into different types of cells. Okay, so formative phase, or the another term is phase of cell division. Okay, what happens is cells of the meristems, okay, the meristematic cells which are actively growing young cells, it will be at the shoot apex and at the root apex also. Not only that, they only at the root system, but also at the shoot system. Okay, it is thin walled. The cell of the meristems are usually thin walled. They have the cell wall of the cells are very thin. All the cells are dividing, and these divided cells are having same diameter, so they are known as isodiametric, same diameter. Okay, so they will be in equal size and shape. All the cells which are formed as a result of division, they are having same diameter. They are non-vacuolated, as in differentiated structure has not yet been formed. Prominent nucleus definitely will be there, and they will have a granular cytoplasm. So during this phase, during the formative phase, when the cells are actively growing, okay, actively growing, they will have these characteristic features. The cell wall will be thick. All the cells will be of the same diameter mostly. They will not have vacuum as such at this stage, but though they will have nucleus and cytoplasm. Okay, so these meristematic cells are dividing, redividing. Okay, it's like one cell divides, give rise to two cells. Then these two cells divide, they give rise to another two daughter cells. Okay, then these two cells divide, give rise to another two. Then these four divide, give rise to, you know. So it's like 2 raised to n power. Mitotic division obviously will happen. Okay, because here we are talking about the somatic cells. We're not talking about any reproductive cells as such. So mitotic division will happen to form new daughter cells, and this phase, the rate of growth, the speed at which the growth happens is comparatively slow. Okay, is slower rate. Hence the name is lag phase. Okay, so you have three words, three phrases like formative phase, or the initial phase, phase of cell division, or the lag phase. The growth will take place at a slow pace. Next phase is elongation phase. Okay, at this phase, the divided cells will now undergo enlargement. Okay, the size of the cell will increase. So the cells which are newly formed, they will now have vacuoles, they will become osmotically active, they will become turgid, they will carry out osmosis, they will do absorption. Okay, all these activities and metabolic activities will start in these cells. They will grow in size, increase in length, breadth of the cell. Okay, the rate in this phase, the rate of growth in this phase is very fast, or is at an accelerated pace. Hence, the word over here is log phase or exponential phase. Okay, so this is the elongation phase that we're talking about. The enlargement phase, the cell which have been formed from the formative phase now will undergo, increase in size, mass, and the rate of growth will be very, very fast. Moving to the next phase is maturation phase. So once elongation has happened, now the cells will undergo differentiation. Okay, as in which cells will become which type of tissue. Okay, so the cells will now be designated as, okay, some of the cells will become xylem cells, some of the cells will become phloem cells, some of the cells will become parenchyma cells. Okay, so this is what we call by differentiation phase of maturation. So enlarged cells now develop into special types of cells, particular type of cells. Okay, as I just mentioned, either they will, some of the cells will go on to become xylem cells, some of the cells will go on to become phloem cells, some of the cells will become the parenchyma cells, some of the cells will become sclerenchyma, some of the cells will become sieve cells, some of the cells will become campanule cells. All these different types of cells, particular type of cells having particular structure, specific structure, and specific physiological differentiation. And in this phase, the rate of growth gradually slows down. So the growth is maximum in the elongation phase, slow in formative phase, and again it little bit slows in the maturation phase, and then finally it comes to a stationary phase, a steady phase, wherein the growth is happening at a very steady pattern throughout. Okay, after the maturation phase. So these are the three phases of growth that occurs in plant. Fine, formative, elongation, and maturation. Now we move to the next topic, which is growth rate. Basically, this is nothing but how much growth has taken per unit time. How much growth, increased growth per unit time. Okay, that will define the speed at which the growth has taken place, growth rate. Okay, and when we measure this, we measure it with the word, with the reference to efficiency index. So how the plant is efficient to grow enough. Okay, so that we also call rate of growth as efficiency index. And you can measure this obviously with the increase in the size, in the increase in the area, different plant organs like leaf. You can measure the initial size of the leaf, and then how much it has grown, initial size of the flowers, and how much it has grown after a unit time, after a particular time. So leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Different organs can be taken into consideration. Okay, when you want to measure the rate of growth. Fine. So when you do a ratio of change in the number of cells, so that is what I just mentioned. You want to measure the increase in the size and the area, how much it has increased. So what you will do, you will take the change in the number of ratio of what? Change in the number of cell number over a period of time. So how many number of cell has increased over a period of time, let's say 5 days, 10 days, etc. This ratio will be known as absolute growth rate. This will give you how much growth has happened. Okay, the absolute growth rate, ratio of change in the cell number. Okay, and ratio of change in the cell number, Dn, denoted by Dn, to the time interval, how much time you are considering, will give you absolute growth rate. Okay, and when you divide this number of AGR with the number of cells present in the medium at a particular time, it will give you the relative growth rate. Okay, when you take AGR, absolute growth, how much growth has happened. So from the previous equation, you got AGR, you divide this by the number of cells present in the medium. Okay, how many number of cells are there at a particular interval of time in the medium will give you relative growth rate ratio. Okay, this refers to growth of a particular system, particular per unit time. Okay, we'll take an example so it will become more easy for you. Fine. So if you will see this, two leaves are there over here. So if you take leaf A, and if you take and at the same time B, you will see A and B, what is the AGR, absolute growth rate, and what is the relative growth rate. So first, if you look at the absolute growth rate, how much increase has happened? So let's say dn upon dt gives you AGR, but here we need not calculate, but just by the looking at the numbers, we can you can tell me from 5 centimeter, it has increased to 10 centimeters. So how much increase have been taken place? So the AGR is, so here the AGR is how much in leaf A? 5 centimeter. Yes, from 5 centimeter it has grown till 10 per square centimeter. Sorry, centimeter square means the area. So how much increase has taken place? 5 centimeter per square. In B, if you look, what is the absolute growth rate? How much growth rate has happened? Again, from 50 per square centimeter, it has grown to 55 per square centimeter. So again, a difference of how much? 5. So in both the case, if you see, the growth rate is how much? 5 only. So absolute growth rate in leaf B is also 5, and absolute growth rate in A is also 5. Okay. So now when we compare the relative growth rate in the system, so when you take this as a system, the leaves on the same branch, let's say A and B are on the same branch. Okay? So what is the difference in A and B? If you see in A from 5 to 10, it has increased. So here almost 100% increase is there. And here when you compare 50 to 55, here only 10% of increase of the growth rate, relative growth rate has taken place. Okay. So this is what we understand by AGR and RGR, relative growth rate. Okay. So as the ratio of change in a cell number over a period of time is called absolute growth rate, and when this AGR is divided by the number of cells present in the medium, that is how you get 10%, 100% and 10% in case of A and B respectively. Okay, so relative growth ratio. That's about all about growth rate, and that's all that we wanted to discuss in this video. We had discussed different phases of growth, and what is growth rate and what is absolute growth rate and relative growth rate in a system. In the next video, we will be covering types of growth with respect to arithmetic and geometric growth and growth curve. And also we will be looking at these three terminologies: differentiation, de-differentiation, and de-differentiation. Till then, keep revising. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.